Well, I'll tell you guys, I'm going to talk about Bitcoin tonight. And this is going to be a fairly long talk, but it's going to be very important. Your last chance is coming up, I believe. And actually, if you want to actually start cost averaging, probably this is actually a good time to start picking up a small amount and start to get used to using cryptocurrency. Because I'll tell you what I see happening with cryptocurrency over the next 10 years. I'm going to put it out 10 years. This is going to be a different world. 10 years from now, it's going to be a different world than it is right now. Cryptocurrencies are eventually going to win. And I've been saying this for quite some time. I learned my lesson with it. At one time, I mined Bitcoin. And where is my Bitcoin now? I don't have them. I don't have them because when I got into mining, the mining wasn't as good. If I just hit it maybe a year earlier or something, you know, I could have got bigger quantities. But I got a few. I don't have them now because I was foolish. I thought to myself, hey, you know what? Bitcoin is going to die. Right? I believed it was going to die, and I got rid of them when they weren't worth very much. You know? And it was foolish. It's a foolish mistake on my part. But as time has progressed, I can see that this thing is not going to die. As times went by now, I can see this is not going to die. It's not going to go away. I've gained more insight to the origin of these things, of cryptocurrencies, and where it's actually progressing and where it's actually going than I had back years ago. You know? When I used to trade them, and I used to mine them. And now what I'm trying to do is I'm working at building up a position again. And it's a slow process now because I had a little bit more money to fool around with. Certain things have happened in my life, and I don't have as much money to fool around with now as I had disposable income back then. I had more of a disposable income than I do now. Now I'm more, I'm like all Canadians right now. In fact, I'm going to do a program on it. All of us Canadians, we are actually getting tighter and tighter here in Canada. It's because our dollar isn't worth very much anymore, for one thing. The cost of living has went way the heck up here in Canada. And it's just the way things are. You know? Now, here's the thing. This program is a warning about what I see happening in the next 10 years. We're going to go through some tremendous upheavals and tremendous changes. I don't see World War III happening as a conflict where the world blows up in a nuclear explosion. I don't see that happening. I do, however, possibly see us going into a World War III. But it's going to be a situation where it's more or less conventional. And they might use a few tactical nukes, what's called tactical nukes, but more or less it's going to probably stay conventional for the most part. So I'm not here to talk about World War III tonight. I'm here to talk about something that's going to have a bigger, more profound effect upon our way of life than World War III. I'm here to talk about cryptocurrencies. And what I mean by that, cryptocurrencies are actually going to cause ultimately more disruption than World War III. Ultimately. All of the wealth in the entire world in the next 10 years is going to be transferred over into cryptographic currencies. And what's going to be the driver of that is what's coming. Now, to get to the end of this, I got to explain first, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm already jumping to the conclusion 10 years from now. I got to get to what's going to happen very soon. The Fed, the Federal Reserve, which is as federal as Federal Express, they're a privately owned institution. There's other central banks, not just the Federal Reserve. And the central banks right now are working in coordination with each other to taper off in their spending programs. The European Central Bank is a big one. They're cutting back enormously in the amount of, they were making 80 billion euros a month. Now they're cut back, and they're going to cut back a lot more yet. The Federal Reserve was putting out $80 billion a month. Now they've cut back, and they're going to cut back a lot more yet. They're gouging. They're quite literally gouging into the money. More than one central bank. They're working in a coordinated effort to dry up liquidity. What's going to happen is this is only going to go so far before we have a crunch. It's kind of like if you take it, okay, I know how to explain it to you. It's like a building demolition. It's exactly like a building demolition. The workers are going inside and they're pulling out the columns. And from inside the building's still standing. It just looks like it did before. You don't see any difference, but they're pulling the columns out from underneath the building, and they're putting charges in there. Dynamite and stuff. Right? And they'll do that for days, maybe weeks, preparing the building for the demolition. Well, this economy is like it's being prepared for demolition by the world's central banks. They are quite literally tearing the columns out from underneath this economy. And so when the collapse actually occurs, it's going to be sudden and unexpected. Most people, except the people on my channel, I'm pointing out exactly where the collapse is and what's happening and how it's pulling together for the collapse. I'm pointing out to you clearly that we have to watch that U.S. 10-year Treasury bond. That, when it passes 3.25%, and it's heading up to that, and it's going to be heading there quick now, then we're primed. We're ready. We're locked and loaded. Ready for the collapse. Now, when the collapse occurs, this is going to create your last opportunity to buy cryptocurrency. Because when the world's central banks turn around and they go back to accommodative monetary policy, which means dumping money back into the system, and this is what they're all going to do at a certain point. They're going to turn this train around the other way. This is going to act as a driver for cryptocurrencies. Now, what's going to happen is this is only going to progress so far into a hyperinflation. And the cryptocurrencies are going to be going crazy. Then they're going to try to kill the cryptocurrencies at a certain point. And they're going to try to promote their own agenda, which is their own cryptocurrencies. They're going to put everything that they got into this effort to discredit, to get rid of cryptocurrencies. But by that time, the cryptocurrencies will have went up massively high. And they might take them down a little bit, but they're not going to kill them. What's going to happen is exchanges are going to go up, and the government-issued cryptocurrencies, like Litecoin, is going to go head-to-head against the decentralized cryptocurrencies on exchanges. And what's going to happen is the government-issued cryptocurrencies are going to fail miserably for a great number of reasons. They're going to fail miserably then. And they're going to go down in value. When compared to the king is still going to be Bitcoin. The only thing is Bitcoin is going to lose some of its market, some of its dominance. It's going to lose some of its dominance. I expect it's going to go down to about 25 or 30% dominance of the market over the next few years, while other cryptocurrencies rise and take more dominance in the market. Some of the top cryptocurrencies, the decentralized cryptocurrencies. But these coins, like maybe Litecoin, is not going to be the world reserve currency. And it's going to go head-to-head against Bitcoin, and its dominance is going to be lost. It's going to be first, when it first comes out, it might be the number 3, or number 2 even, position. Or it might even be number 1. It might actually take the crown from Bitcoin and be number 1 at first. Because they're going to promote it. They're going to make it, and a lot of people are going to buy in, initial money coming in, and it's going to be massive, because the government will promote it. But what will happen is you'll see it fall in value. Its purchasing power will fall, where Bitcoin's purchasing power is going to continue to rise no matter what. Even if it's a black market coin, its purchasing power is going to continue to rise. Eventually, see, all this is going to happen really fast, too. Probably within the next 2 years, you're going to see your dollar coin. And it's only going to last about a year. Dollar coins rise to magnificence and then fall. It's all going to happen within a year, and Bitcoin is going to rise back to the top again. Then you're going to see massive increases in price of the top cryptocurrencies, the top decentralized cryptocurrencies. They're ultimately going to start to win the battle, and they're going to suck up all of the value on Earth, including these stupid centralized cryptocurrencies that the governments are going to create, which are going to become in the end almost worthless, comparatively speaking, to the decentralized cryptocurrencies. And the decentralized cryptocurrencies are going to win in the end, ultimately. All you have to do right now at this point is hold. It doesn't matter what you pay for them. Just HODL them, ultimately, if you've got the top coins. I'm starting to realize this now. And I'm trying to build back a position. It's a small position. I'm trying to build it back. And it's hard. It's not easy, but I'm trying. I'm working at it. I'm HODLing now at this point. What I get, I'm not selling. No way, I'm not doing it again. Because I realize where this is going in the end. Now I know. And it's not going to take very much of the decentralized top coins to make you extremely rich. The wealth of the world is going to be held in the hands of very few people. This is not going to be good. This transition's not going to be good. It's going to be more disruptive than a nuclear war. The cryptocurrencies winning the battle against the central banks. We meant for the crypto, when we were back in the start of the cryptocurrencies, I had the same ideals. I thought, okay, this is going to decentralize the world and get us away from these evil bankers. And you know what I think of these evil bankers and how I hate them. And I thought cryptocurrency was the salvation. But now I can see that cryptocurrency is going to form a new banking type of establishment, a new establishment. Not really a central banker establishment, but a new first-class establishment, and a new establishment of the haves and have-nots. It's even worse than the central banker establishment, ultimately, in the end. The wealth is going to be held by even fewer. This is terrible. What they're going to do, what these top cryptocurrencies are going to do. They're basically a monetary black hole. They're going to suck up all of the value of everything on Earth into a few coins. The smaller coins, the weaker coins are going to die. And the more powerful coins is probably going to end, in the end, it's probably going to boil down to about 6 or 7 coins. That's going to have value, and everything else is going to lose value, including the government-issued centralized cryptocurrencies. All of it is going to be worthless. Gold and silver is going to have a tremendous value, but it's not going to be used as money or currency. It's going to be used as a liquid asset, like it is now, Except now gold is measured in fiat. In this new system, gold is going to be measured in crypto. How much gold is going to be measured in not in dollars, but in Bitcoin, and in Litecoin, and in I'm naming some of the top 7 coins. Monero, Dash, naming the top 7. Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold, a few of these, just these, like maybe a top 7 or top 8 coins are going to make it. And they're going to be worth, all the world's value is going to be poured into these top coins. This is where the whole thing's headed, ultimately. And your gold is going to be priced in those coins. Ultimately, the whole world is these coins are going to be the world's reserve currency. And they're going to establish these lightning networks and stuff so that you can transmit unlimited amount of transmit these coins. So you can, and you're going to be on your phone, and you're going to be able to instantaneously send money anywhere on Earth through these networks. It's going to win in the end. It's going to win over the centralized versions. So we only got a few years while this progresses and while this happens. Now, here's the thing. What's going to be the driver to put these cryptocurrencies in this position that I'm talking about? Because the way it is right now, this adoption of these cryptocurrencies could spread out over the next 50 years. And they could go up and down for the longest time before they finally fully adopted. And why I say 10 years to become fully adopted is because there's going to be a driver. There's going to be something that's going to drive them up. And what's going to drive them up is going to be the economic collapse of the fiat financial system. This is going to be a massive driver for the cryptocurrencies. When the dollar collapses, the United States dollar, and it's been in the works for a long time now, the petrodollar has been weakening and weakening, and now we got the yuan oil's futures contract, which is going to help take her down much faster in the next few months. This is why the United States is so upset, because they're trying to put a trade war in, is because they're trying to punish China for the yuan futures oil contracts. Just like they always did every country, they generally what they do is drop bombs. A country tries to leave the petrodollar and tries to sell in anything but dollars, oil, and anything but dollars, they drop bombs on them. They can't drop bombs on China. You know, maybe they could take a pot shot at them with some space weapon, you know, like the finger of God or whatever, you know, but and then claim it's some sort of accidental fire that broke out in a warehouse or something. Maybe they could do something like that, you know, but they can't possibly drop a bomb on China because China would bomb them back. So what can they do? Well, they can hit them with economic sanctions, and they can hit them with a trade war. And China knows what it's for. You know, they know why they're getting hit. They know why, but they're not backing down. They're coming back and hitting the United States back. They're like, okay, you're going to hit us, we're going to hit you back. And by the way, we're not going to drop the oil for yuan futures contract. But that's going to be the death of the dollar. Not a sudden death, but a death of the dollar. This is going to be the driver for these cryptocurrencies. Because when the dollar and all of the other currencies are tied and pegged into the dollar, when they all start to roll over and they all start to lose their value rapidly, that value is going to start to be transferred over into the cryptocurrencies. It's already begun. It's backed off a little bit. Now, I've watched this happen. I've watched this happen progressively over the years. I remember when Bitcoin was only worth like 30 bucks. And then 60 bucks. I remember when it was 60 bucks. You know? And I've seen these pulses. It pulses up, and then it pulses back down again. It goes up. It goes up like a mountain. It climbs up, 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 up. It crests and crescendo, and then it comes back down again, the price of Bitcoin. And it comes back down. It's done this like something like 11 times since back when it was a nickel. It's just repeating this pattern over and over and over again. If people out there cannot understand this Bitcoin pattern that it's doing, it's just made it up to $20,000, and now it's on its way back down. It's going to bottom out at a certain point. This is going to be your last for the middle class people out there. This is going to be your last chance to get a few Bitcoins. Because the next pulse is going to take it up way past 20,000. The last pulse took it up to 1150. This pulse took it up to 20,000. The next pulse is going to be that much many multiples higher. Maybe 100,000. And you're not going to be able to buy in anymore to get any substantial amount. The next pulse is going to take it up that much higher again. Each time it does a pulse. Ultimately, where's it going? Ultimately, the top 10 cryptocurrencies, or top 7, or whatever it's going to boil down to in the end, are going to suck up all of the value of everything in the world. The farms, farmland, factories, everything, cities, all the value of everything. It's going to be transferred from fiat currencies over into cryptocurrencies. This is where it's going. The government's going to fight it at a certain point. The banking system's going to fight it. And here's where it's going to cause the disruption. It's going to cause the disruption when it gets to the point where it destroys the banking systems. And it destroys our monetary system that we have now. And it transfers over into the new monetary system, which is the cryptocurrencies. This disruption that's going to cause could be more potentially dangerous for us as humanity than a nuclear bomb. It could kill more people than the nuclear bomb. The disruption it's going to cause. And then the wealth transfer to the very few that have crypto and the people that don't have any. Now, where does silver and gold fit in all this? Well, it's very simple. When the cryptocurrencies is on its way up, the same driver that's going to drive the cryptocurrencies up is going to drive gold and silver way up in value tremendously. But it's never going to take on a monetary status. You're never going to have a cryptocurrency that's successful that is backed with gold and silver. It's not going to happen. I've seen that. They've tried this over and over again in the cryptocurrencies. They think, okay, we're going to have a cryptocurrency backed by silver or one that's backed by gold. It doesn't work. Bitcoin still remains the king and always will remain the king. It doesn't need to be backed. Like fiat currencies, for years we used fiat currency and it doesn't really need to be backed by anything. Of course, the dollar was backed by oil. But it doesn't ultimately need to be backed by anything. Bitcoin is intrinsically valuable on its own because it meets all the requirements of money. I've laid this down on my show so many times. I boiled the essence of money down to 3 parts, and I'll explain them to you. One thing, money needs to be fungible. What that means is you can exchange it, and one unit of money is worth the same as any other unit of money, so it's perfectly exchangeable. That's fungibility. That's one of the properties of money, one of the 3. I've boiled it down to 3 properties of money. The second property of money is that it has to be a store of value. And how I define a store of value is that you can actually store the stuff away and it will retain its value over time, and you can go back and get it. Like if you put it into a suitcase or something, you can come back and get it, and it's still just as good as it was when you stored it away. And the third aspect of money is that it's limited in supply. That's very important. Limited in supply. It means that there's only a certain amount of it, and this is what gives it its value. Now, fiat currencies meet the first 2 parts of money. And look how successful they've been at being money just by meeting the first 2 parts of money, which is fungibility and store of value. You can store these plastic dollar bills or bills away for years. I can take a handful of these plastic bills and I can store them in a suitcase for 20 years and come back and get them, and they'll still look just as fresh as they did when I stored them away. That's a good store of value. And that's my definition of store of value. But I can do the same thing with cryptocurrency. I can make a paper wallet or a taser wallet or whatever those wallets are called that store cryptos offline, and I can put it away in a suitcase, and I can come back and get it 20 years from now and hook it up to the internet, and I got my coins. It's a good store of value. Same thing. Fungibility. Well, 1 Bitcoin is worth the same as any other Bitcoin. But the same way with fiat. A $20 bill, a US dollar bill, is worth the same as any other $20 US bill. What about gold and silver? Same thing. You can store them away forever practically. Come back and get them. You can put gold in a treasure chest and bury it under the ocean, and you can come back and get it years later. Fungible, 1 ounce of gold, pure gold, is worth the same as any other 1 ounce of pure gold. Perfectly fungible. But the fiat misses out on one aspect of money. It is not limited in supply. The central banks can make as much fiat currency as there are leaves on the trees. So, that is where it fails. And that failing is what's going to be the driver. That's what's going to eventually be the driver for the cryptocurrencies, because they meet those 3 aspects of money perfectly, unlike fiat. Bitcoin is limited in supply. These people out there that can argue, they say, oh, Bitcoin's not limited in supply. They don't understand Bitcoin. They say it's unlimited how many cryptocurrencies you can make. You can make all these countless amounts, different types of cryptocurrency, and this makes it unlimited in supply. No, it doesn't. Because all of those, they can make as many as they want. I could make Glencoin tomorrow morning. Sure, I could. I can make Glencoin, but it's worthless. And it's never going to take down Bitcoin. It's not going to have any effect on Bitcoin. Just because I make Glencoin doesn't mean that is making more Bitcoins. It's not making more Bitcoins. Bitcoin is still as limited as it ever was, even though I make Glencoin tomorrow morning. That's not an argument. Bitcoin is limited in supply. Always will be. They cannot get any more Bitcoins. Once those Bitcoins have been mined, the final Bitcoins have been mined. And there's another huge problem that maybe I'll go into in a different show, is when they're done and they've mined all the last Bitcoins, then they got problems again. But that's like a long time from now, so we're not going to worry about that. Anyway, in the interim, within the next 10 years, we're going to be making this transition over into cryptocurrencies. And this has nothing to do with Bitcoin finally hitting the end of the road of its mining so that they can run the network. Right? Ultimately, by the time Bitcoin is finally mined, and they finally mine the last of the Bitcoins, there might be some sort of a transition over to some different cryptocurrency by that time. But that's so far in the future. In the interim, Bitcoin could suck up all the value of everything in the world in the interim. And at the rate it's going, in its exponential curve upwards in value, it's not going to take it that long before it does suck up everything, including the other cryptocurrencies. Look, honest to Pete, the whole market value of Bitcoin, if you got back in there when they were a nickel a piece, the whole market cap of that thing was nothing. And now look at the market cap. Hundreds of billions of dollars. This is where it's going. It was heading toward $1 trillion. It got cut down a little bit, yes. It's down to 300 and something billion now. But you watch when it heats up again. Next time it's going to pass that 1 trillion mark, and it'll probably pass the 2 trillion mark. 3 trillion. At a certain point, it's going to start the takedown is going to begin. The wealth transfer is going to begin. At a certain point. I can't tell you exactly what point that is, whether it's 2 trillion or 3 trillion. When the transfer is going to start to happen, and the value transfer is going to start to happen from the regular currencies into the cryptos. And then that's going to make it go up even higher. This is a brave new world, just like the book by Alistair Huxley that he wrote about, that we're heading toward right now. I got a lot of theories about why they actually created Bitcoin to begin with. In my mind, a lot of conspiracy theory around that, because it's just ridden with conspiracy theory. The creator of it, some guy that's about as real as Santa Claus, you know, Satoshi Nakamoto is about as real as Santa Claus, and it's almost ridiculous how many people they've claimed that are Satoshi, and that's all BS. I don't believe there is any real Satoshi. I mean, okay, let's get real about all this. This is just smacks of conspiracy theory. The whole thing smacks of conspiracy theory so bad it's not even funny. There's so many, in my mind, it is a conspiracy. It's not theory. In my mind, the whole thing is a conspiracy, and I'm just not exactly sure what's going on with it all. I'm not exactly sure, but it's nefarious, to say the least. Anyway, I've rattled on for quite a long time now about this subject. I think this is going to be potentially huge coming up in the future. I think we got one last big buying opportunity coming up, very near and very close. And then it's going to be all over for the average Joe to get some. And I think it's going to take off. And ultimately, I think within probably the next 5 years, it's going to be so valuable that even if you've invested like $500, right, like during this cycle right here, say you've invested 500, 5 years from now, that 500 will be more money than you could spend in your lifetime. That's what it's going to turn into. So if you want to go out there and buy lottery tickets for the next 5 years and spend $1,000 on lottery tickets that you're never going to win, you'd win the lottery for sure if you invest your money in cryptocurrencies. This is the way the thing's going. And if you look back 5 and 10 years ago, you'll realize that that's exactly how it's transferred until now. It isn't stopping. It's just going to continue going. The way I see it as just being a great thing, you know. And I think that there's one last really good buying opportunity coming up pretty soon, and that's going to be the end. It's going to be the last buying opportunity. And you just got to be patient and wait for it and watch for it. But it wouldn't hurt for you to start learning by getting yourself into a position now. If you've never used cryptocurrencies, it's time to start to sit down and study how they work and start to save and start to get a little bit of some for yourself put away and start to learn how to use them. It's time, you know. Even for you guys out there that are hardcore silver stackers and said, oh, I'd never touch the cryptocurrencies and stuff. Well, now, as years went by, you've watched the stuff go up and up and up, and you must be starting to sit there and think to yourself, unless you're the hardest tack on earth, you must be starting to soften up a little bit and say, gee, maybe I should have. It's not too late, guys. It's not too late. You need to learn, and you need to get in there and start learning how, you know. Because ultimately your silver and your gold might really make you rich in the end, but you could have been a lot richer if you had got into the cryptocurrencies too, along with it. Do both. Don't be hard-headed, because ultimately cryptocurrency, I believe, is going to be really the biggest winner of all. Silver is going to be huge, though. I'll tell you. There's so many things that you can do right now to preserve your wealth. Do not sit there and sit on all of your wealth in the bank, hoping that the U.S. dollar is going to be your savior. Because I'm going to tell you, just looking at the track record of the U.S. dollar for the last 100 years, it sucks. Okay, that's all I got to say. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next show. Bye.